Wasabi wallet. Unfairly private.
What's going on, everybody? Happy Friday. Welcome to another edition of Why Are We Bullish? And this is a special one, my friends. Everybody on the show today is named Ben. We are also known as a small representation of the High Council of Bitcoin Bens. And so today we're going to be discussing matters of bullishness all together. Very excited for this. Greatest gathering of Bitcoin Bens ever to hit the internet? Perhaps. We shall see. As always, this is live. Anything can happen. Who knows? Technical difficulty. So quick disclaimer from my friend Bill here.
We'll do it live.
Okay.
We'll do it live. Fuck it. Do it live. I'll write it and we'll do it live. And thing sucks.
Exciting. As always, guys, please do smash that like button, hit subscribe, give this a share. There's already over 100 people in here raring to go with the High Council. I'm Ben with the BTC Sessions. This is your daily session.
Hodl the Bitcoin.
Now, before we bring in members of the council, of course, let's take a look at the markets. We're sitting around $49,780 per Bitcoin. Thank you, Elon Musk, for the dip, because now you can pick up 2009 sats for a single US dollar. Stack that fucking dip, everybody. It is there. Please don't dismiss it. It could be here. It could be fleeting. So stack those sats while you can. In terms of amount of Bitcoin mined, percentage issued, 89.1%. That'll be 90 before the end of the year. And in terms of fees, next block, you're looking at 65 sats per byte. If you're willing to wait an hour, 22 sats per byte will do you more than likely. Maybe on the weekend, Sundays, perhaps, a good time to open Lightning channels. Do things like that. Consolidate UTXOs, conscious of privacy as you do so. Before we bring everybody in, of course, shout out to sponsors of the show, LEDN.io. You can use your Bitcoin for a variety of different services there. For me, primary use case has been when I've been in a pinch and I don't want to sell my Bitcoin because, taxable event, and I'm worried about having to buy back in at a higher price. I've been able to utilize them to grab a Bitcoin back loan, deposit Bitcoin, get dollars within 24 hours, pay those dollars back, get back the same amount of Bitcoin. They also, of course, have Bitcoin and USDC savings accounts, and they've got their B2X offering, uses the same loan mechanism to instantly buy more Bitcoin if you're feeling a little bit degen and maybe extra bullish. Be sure to check them out. Links are down below. Also, I do live on Bitcoin. One of the ways that helps me do this is Bitrefill. Super easy to purchase literally any gift card you can imagine for Bitcoin, on-chain, Lightning Network. They got it all. You do earn sats back as you shop, and they also have a pretty good affiliate program. So be sure to check them out. Oh, and if you are looking for liquidity, they do rent out Thor channels as well. I mentioned that in my recent tutorial. And finally, if you're backing up any wallet, with any meaningful amount of funds, paper might not do it. Maybe slap that thing in steel with the BillFodl over on privacypros.io. Helps you against fire, water, or just throwing the damn words out because you're not being smart. Or, kids happen too. So anyways, guys, let's start bringing in our friends. Let's get rid of this screen. We've got, I guess I'll just skip the first names. Nah, actually, we've got Ben, and we've got Ben. And we've got Ben, and finally we have Ben. Ben's, how are you?
I've been waiting for this.
Yes, I'm so excited. This is, again, definitely, I think we can claim the world record for the best congregation of Bitcoin Bens on a single stream. Obviously, I think that's
so far.
Yeah, I'll let Guinness get back to me on that one. But welcome, gentlemen. This is Why Are We Bullish, my favorite part of the week, where we all get to just riff on what we're excited about. And, outsiders looking in think that Bitcoiners are in disarray, don't know what to do with some of the FUD going around this week. Oh, it's dead. It's never going to survive. They don't know how fucking bullish everybody still is. this is an opportunity. So we get to discuss what has us bullish in the face of just endless FUD. So I'm going to start us off here, and then I'll pass it down the line for your thoughts on this. But I'm actually bullish in part because of the FUD. I guess this kind of comes from the ethos of, is this good for Bitcoin? Yes, everything is good for Bitcoin. But my reasoning here is Bitcoin's kind of becoming anti-fragile when it comes to the shit takes of influential people, right? You've got the richest man in the world starting to FUD a lot about consumption of energy around Bitcoin, while at the same time still holding on to all of their Bitcoin, doing stupid things like actually I don't know, pushing retail into the arms of Dogecoin and all of its offshoots. You have a lot of dumb stuff going on, and Bitcoin has been surprisingly resilient in the face of that. Even like, I'm just speaking in terms of the price. Yeah, we had what felt like a pretty big dip, but like in the context of any other meaningful pullback, it really was somewhat muted. So I feel like the more bad takes that we get like this is going to be the year of Bitcoin is going to boil the oceans. But you get through that, and what's on the other side? Well, the truth about how Bitcoin functions, how Bitcoin seeks out the cheapest and or most efficient methods of getting electricity, and it all in all, it kind of helps people in terms of how they value energy. So I think once we kind of get through this cycle and have the worries of people turn out to be largely untrue, you come through the other side of it, and all of those arguments have much less of an impact moving forward. But I'm curious to get your thoughts. So I'm gonna go around the circle. Let's get Mr. Carman. What are you feeling about this recent round of FUD, and how's it affect Bitcoin?
Yeah, I totally agree with you. Like, it's pretty funny to see like Elon, like his first tweet, everyone was just like, oh, maybe he's being forced by like woke mob or Tesla people, and then he like double, triple, like quadrupled down, and someone was like, okay, no, this is actually Elon's thoughts. And then like you have like Michael Saylor like ratioing him with like 10% of the followers or like 1% of the followers, and still like saying like, no, you're wrong. Bitcoin's actually way more thermodynamically efficient than it used to be. It's only getting better. Here's all these articles saying why. And then like Elon links like the first 3 Google links if you Google like Bitcoin and environment. It's like just like kind of sad to see. So I don't know, I think it's really cool to see like just like Bitcoiners like price dropped like 5 or 10%, like nothing really meaningful, and it's really cool to see like Bitcoiners are still like totally on the job, like everyone's posting pictures of their Cash App buying and stuff like that. So
true. I'm surprised Nick Carter hasn't had a stroke. I don't know how he maintains his composure on all of these talk shows, but right. Hats off to him. Price, what are you feeling about the FUD? How are you? Are you huddling in your basement? Are you in a shelter somewhere? It looks dingy where you are.
It's hard out here. I think it's really freaking boring, man. Like I want some good FUD. Like how are you gonna, like, the easiest response I saw was, I'm just gonna send that Michael Saylor video, that like 2-minute clip, to people with the energy FUD. Like, I'm just hopeful people come up with something new. I'd like to like be thinking about new attack vectors for Bitcoin that we haven't been thinking about yet. But like, if this is gonna be the year of energy FUD, it's just not going to be fun. Like that's not even a good one. Like give me a government attack or like something like that's at least plausible. Like you're just dropping like things that are so easy to like rebuke with facts. So I'm not interested. I'm not as up to date as Carman on like all the Twitter drama, but so I don't know who said what lately, but Call me when there's like a fun new FUD piece to bash or something.
Yeah, I agree. Verret, what How are you handling this? Are you crying yourself to sleep?
No, I'd say have fun staying poor, Elon Musk.
Yeah. It was hilarious to see those responses of people telling the second richest man on the planet to have fun staying poor, but it's great.
I told him to think. Imagine a world where people heat their homes with Bitcoin miners instead of convectors. Like, surely someone with an IQ of 155 can figure that out.
Yeah, I don't know if he's, because somebody afterwards pointed to something about applying for like carbon credit, something along the lines, and like within the same, short time period that news came out, and was trying to kind of draw a connection of like, did somebody get a call being like, maybe you need to make a statement so that you're treated well in terms of getting some of these subsidies. So I don't know if that's the case, but interesting to see like this very, very timely, so many different things. You got Bill Maher, you got Elon Musk, you've got like a bunch of now articles going around talking about, and not even really founded ones. The Square one that came out this morning, I don't know if you guys saw it, where they said, oh, Square will no longer be says they're not looking at buying more Bitcoin after an X amount loss, and concerns about nice pup. I hope his name is Ben. But concerns about environmental stuff. Both of those statements were completely disconnected. They had people from Square saying our stance on Bitcoin has not changed. We're happy with our position and we're constantly evaluating that. So literally nothing has changed in light of recent news. So yeah, I feel like everybody's just kind of jumping on that bandwagon. It'll hit the news cycle for a bit. It'll go away for a bit. And then it'll, come back again. But I don't know. Prentice, do you have any thoughts on the matter either way?
Yeah, thanks. I mean, it's funny, right? Because Elon, his company, as you were kind of alluding to there, it's a barely profitable, Tesla specifically. They don't really make money on the cars yet, and I know that's part of their plans, like a loss leading kind of thing. But they are heavily reliant on government energy subsidies, right? So I can, giving him a bone, I suppose I can give him the bone too, that like he is trying to tiptoe through this environment that
give him the bone.
He wants to keep, he wants to keep the bones flowing to him, right? But it's funny to me because, as we've said, nothing's changed, right? And anybody that's willing to do the research and read one of Nick Carter's many articles rebuking all of this silly nonsense, nothing has changed in the fundamentals. And you know what I'm bullish on in this particular topic is the Bitcoiners, right? Because the moment this happened, I pulled my phone up and I hopped into Clubhouse. There was 1,000 people in the room within 5 seconds, right? You go onto that tweet and there was thousands of comments from like Bitcoiners within seconds, right? It instantly ratioing him. So yeah, I'm bullish on the truth and on Bitcoin.
I like that. Bullish on the truth. I think we're all bullish on the truth and ensuring that there's enough accessible content to ensure anybody who cares to learn it will have access. So yeah, very, very true. We're going to keep rolling here. We're going to move on to another topic. Now, before I do, of course, there's like over 200 people in here watching live. Everybody watching live, make sure you smash that like button, give this a share, get even more people in here watching live. This is the High Council of Bitcoin Bens. How often do you get to watch this shit? So we're going to keep it rolling. I'm going to toss it to Carman here. What has you feeling bullish this week? Please enlighten the council.
This week I think has been super bullish for Taproot stuff. So like, we've been doing this speedy trial for like 2 weeks now, and like we had the difficulty adjustment like 2 days ago, so we just started a new signaling period, and like there's still like 3 major pools that weren't signaling yet. It was like Binance, Huobi, and via BTC, and so those guys still aren't signaling, and then like in the last 2 days they started signaling. And apparently, the VP of Poolin was saying that Binance Pool is like about to start signaling. There's like a bunch of like people about to start signaling. We can actually like get this activated maybe in the next month or two, which would be amazing. And I'm just super excited for everything Taproot because it's going to bring so much more like functionality and privacy features to Bitcoin. So once we have this thing actually finalized and like going to be usable, we're going to be able to build so many cool shit.
Yeah, I totally agree. Now, maybe for the people watching that, maybe don't know kind of the implications of Taproot, and from I guess the standpoint of a layman, what are kind of the effects down the road as it if it gets implemented and as it becomes more widely used for the average user?
Yeah, like Taproot, like as an average user, you probably won't even ever tell it's being used. It's just gonna like make things better for you. So like, what it does is adds like privacy and optimization, like just features to Bitcoin. So like just things like transactions will be slightly smaller, and then things like use complicated contracting like Lightning or multisig or Liquid stuff like that. Any of that stuff is now going to just be cheaper and more private. So it just like makes like everything better and like faster to verify, less block space. So like I don't know, it's just like a stripped upgrade all around. So as an average user, you might never notice you're using it, but you're just like your fees will be cheaper, which is can't complain there.
Yeah, that's fair. Awesome. Price, do you have any thoughts on Taproot? Have you been watching it a little bit? Have you been to that website I pulled up before?
Yeah, I think if you haven't been to that website, like, are you a real Bitcoiner? So yeah, I've been to the website, been watching anxiously for every new block to come in green. I'm definitely pro Taproot. I think like whether you're for it or against it, I'm excited to see like a potential new thing in Bitcoin get implemented. I'm glad we got past the phase of like debating whether or not like how to activate it. I think it was like 6 months ago or like maybe a year ago, I started hearing about like, oh, we're just going to like freeze Bitcoin where it is. And I think there's still a lot of improvements to go, just like from honestly a ton of standpoints. And so I just think it's healthy, like whether this gets passed or not, or whether this goes in or not, or we have a user activated soft fork or what the hell happens. I'm excited to see some progress. Bitcoin is like known for moving pretty slow, I think. And I'm excited that there is some forward progress. Now, like whether you're for Taproot or against Taproot, I think is seemingly straightforward for a lot of people if you just look at it. But yeah, I'm excited that like we actually are progressing forward. And I think that's the biggest takeaway for me. I'm not a super nerd like Carman, so I can't like get into the super nitty gritty details, but there are some aspects to Taproot that should make it brings on like additional tech that I think a lot of people are looking forward to be able to build on. So I am excited there.
Yeah, awesome. Verret, do you are you familiar with all things Taproot? Are you kind of in the know with this?
Yeah, I think there won't be as much drama as there was with SegWit. Like Npool was one of the first to signal Taproot. So this time, I think Bitmain won't play stupid games.
Yeah. I would hope so. I would hope they learn their lesson. It was so. Do you know much about the activation method? And because initially there was a bit of pushback on the speedy trial from some people. Do you know the difference between like how it's being activated now versus other proposals?
This time there's a 90% threshold instead of 95, and if there's 2 weeks, if you get, I think I don't know how many blocks that makes, but it's a period of 2 weeks. If you get 90 blocks, it'll be activated in November.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. But Luke, so maybe I don't know if Prentice, are you familiar with what Luke Jr. pushed out?
Yeah,
No.
so this is funny. I mean, this is why I'm super bullish on Bitcoin, right? Because of the way that this fork is going down. And what we've seen play out, if you've paid attention, and if you haven't been paying attention, very briefly, Bitcoin is actually pretty hard to change, it turns out, right? Like, we've spent like a year just almost debating just the method of activation. And at first, I saw some people saying, man, like, I don't know about this method, that, it sets a bad precedent or whatever. And I think the fact that it takes this long, the fact that we found a new way to do it, that maybe the last way didn't work so well, and it seems to make a lot of sense. And what you were just talking about, Luke Dash Jr., and I believe there are actually other people that are doing this too. What they've done is they've coded up a soft fork of their own, right? They've taken the Bitcoin Core software, which anybody can go download, anybody can go modify, and they've created their own version. And that version basically just it activates Taproot, right? And I don't know the very specifics on what Luke's version does, and like I said, I believe there's at least one other version of this floating around. But the high level of this is that if the miners kind of don't hit that 90% threshold, and the Bitcoin community decides through consensus that we want to activate this thing, we're all just going to decide to run software, and that software is there. It's already right there. We can all just download it, implement it, run it, and activate it, right? It's decentralized. This is the decentralized upgrading of Bitcoin.
I love the kind of game theoretic nature of all Bitcoiners, where they're like, okay, let's go ahead this way, but also we're gonna code something up that is like our insurance policy if somebody tries to fuck around, which is beautiful. It's exactly what we saw back. The people that are watching that are somewhat newer may not recognize those hats, the UASF hats. Effectively, there was a large amount of the miners, like the vast majority of the miners, 50 of the biggest companies in the space, a lot of prominent figures in the space came out and tried to change the Bitcoin protocol in a way that would not have been backwards compatible, and in turn also would have swapped out the development team for a very centralized one, and would furthermore have set the precedent that if an elite group of people decide that they want something in Bitcoin, they can just arbitrarily change it on the rest of us. And the reason that didn't go forth, at least in part, was a movement by individuals to run software that basically would say, fuck you, we're not accepting this change. And if you go ahead with it, you are not using Bitcoin. And it resulted in all of those people effectively backing down 24 hours before it was meant to deploy. And thank God, because as soon as it did deploy anyways, it instantly broke. So, this is how Bitcoin becomes anti-fragile and prevents itself from being screwed by a small minority that want control. It's fantastic, and it's bullish as hell. I think one of the single greatest moments in Bitcoin Twitter, in my memory, was almost immediately after the breaking article where they all announced that they were backing down and no longer moving ahead with the fork. Francis Pouliot tweeted out, "Holy shit, did we just win?" And we did. And it was a great day for Bitcoin. So I love that topic, dude. Thank you for bringing that up. Let's keep it rolling. We got almost 240 people watching live. Smash that like button. Give this a share and get even more people in the room here. We got my reason. We got Carman's reason. We're going to move on to Mr. Price. Dude, what has you feeling bullish this week?
I'm bullish on all sorts of shit, but I have a quick question for Verret. Are you standing up, or is your posture just like fantastic?
I'm just fantastic all around.
Okay, good to know.
Yeah.
Good to know.
That's a great answer.
Yeah, so I don't have any one thing. I don't want to steal everyone else's answer, so I'll gloss over a few things that are making me pretty bullish, and then I'll dive into one that I think is worth talking about a little more. I love that we're sitting here at 50K still. I think I love these quick dips that liquidate the longs. I think that just opens up the possibility of running away. I also talk to some companies in the space and have been able to see some of their volume numbers, and the plebs are buying up these dips, man. The volume is ridiculous every time we see dips like this. So to me, that just means Bitcoin's going to stronger hands, which is bullish for the plebs. So I'm excited about that. Brady, I'm an Eagles fan, so screw you, Tom Brady. We did beat him once. He beat us once in the Super Bowl, but dude's a winner. I'm gonna try and be on any team that Tom Brady's on. So that's solid. I think we already talked about how crappy the FUD is. The Indy 500 car, I don't know who really watches Indy 500, but I guess that's a thing. So that's cool just to see like an open source car get funded. Kind of a lull moment is John Dalber, the CFO of Bridgewater, joining NY Dig. So like leaving a kind of traditional finance firm to get into the traditional space. Okay, and so I've like gone through a bunch of stuff. The biggest one that I'm like bullish on lumber prices, man. I'm bullish on inflation. I'm bullish on like shit falling apart here. Not that I want to see it happen, but you know, I think like the Fed is kind of lucked out a little bit with like prices, consumer prices in particular, kind of like staying flat, and everyone like I think especially in the United States, we've been kind of sheltered from inflation, and like people not really seeing the value prop of Bitcoin, maybe because we haven't had a inflationary event recently. So like seeing, I mean, inflation, just like they just announced 4.2% year over year, hit an all-time high. All these like inflation indexes are rising. I mean, if you go and look at the actual numbers for like commodities across the sector, they're all up like 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60% just this year. So I'm like excited that now, you know, there may be some like external triggers for people who might not have been able to like see why Bitcoin, like why does it matter to me? You know, now your groceries are getting more expensive. Now your 2x4s, if you're a construction guy, are getting more expensive. Like I think there's kind of more tangible things to point to now, and I'm excited about that. Yeah,
it's getting to the point where they can't bullshit and say that inflation is not happening when everybody is having a harder life and can't are having a much more difficult time just scraping by on the same amount of money, or in some cases even more money because they are getting government money. So it's going to be so difficult to thread that narrative, and you can feel them shifting where they're like, well, you know, there might be spikes in inflation, but if they come up, just know they will only be temporary. Like they can actually say that. It's hilarious to watch. And in terms of lumber, yeah, we just did our basement, and so when we started buying lumber versus when we finished buying lumber, yeah, that was a whole different thing. Like it
should have front run it.
Oh, fuck, I know.
I don't know. Behind you, it's got to be $1 million, right?
This was last year. I'm laughing. I'm up so much on this wall. It's crazy. I should tear it down and then see what I can get for it. And then I'll buy the lumber dip if there is ever a dip.
It's the fact that these like I don't know. I was talking to a financial advisor the other day, and they were just talking about how bullish it is that inflation numbers are going up, and like how that's promising for the economy. And just like you go back to what the Fed was saying, like we're gonna overshoot inflation for just a little bit, until like we can get back to our 2% rate, which is apparently a good number of inflation. Like the story is just falling apart, man, and that's what I'm bullish on. Like Bitcoin's there; it always has been. Nothing has changed. Like no fundamentals have changed that are like making me more or less bullish on Bitcoin, but I'm more bearish on everything else, and I guess that's good for us.
Awesome. Yeah, I agree with your sentiment there. Let's toss it down the line. Verret, how are you feeling about what might be fourth turning kind of vibes lately? Does it feel like shit's falling apart to you?
Yeah, it is. There's a Bitcoiner the other day who said you can buy a fraction of a 2x4. I've found an article from last year where economists say printing money won't cause inflation. So that aged well.
Yeah, right. Like how do they continue to keep up that narrative? Do they still try to string it along, or do they update their language? What do they do with that?
I think what they say is that it's because of the supply chain. Like they try to find an excuse, and a lot of people buy it.
Mm-hmm. It's COVID.
Yeah, it's Voldemort. Yeah.
It's interesting to see how the narrative shifts over time, and there's always some temporary thing to say this is the reason when the correlation seems to be quite different.
What was it? Transitory events? Was that what they said recently?
Yeah. I think that was the language. Yeah. Prentice, what do you feel about this this kind of fourth turning feeling vibe we got going this year so far?
Yeah, it's fascinating to watch. I mean, Bitcoiners were calling events like this before even COVID kind of happened. If you look at the monetary side of things, you saw the repo market spasming out and then injecting liquidity. It's always some kind of euphemism, right? Inflation, stokes the economy, right? But it also, drains your wallet. And I think what's happening is Bitcoiners are changing the narrative, right? Like, inflation is not good for you, right? Nobody likes rising prices. Everybody likes falling prices, right? So again, I'm bullish on the truth in this thing, and I think the internet has allowed us to have a conversation on a global scale in a way that is unprecedented, and the truth is coming out on this stuff. Nobody thinks inflation is good anymore, except these people that sit in their ivory tower, institutions like the Federal Reserve, and they're just trying to convince you that they should keep doing this inflation thing. And you know that this can't go on forever, right? Like, something's got to give somewhere, and it always does. And I think we're seeing that now, and it's not good. Like, we're not happy that this is happening, right? But it is an inevitability that things start to break when you start messing with this market, right? And like, we didn't start the fire is the thing I always say. We're here offering the solution, and I think the worse things get, the more the solution looks like a good thing, and I think that gets easier to see as time goes on.
Yeah. I do think you're right that it becomes more apparent over time. I don't know if people fully get it long term. What I'm curious is the people that get it last, or if a large number of people that weren't prepared and couldn't see the writing on the wall do not see it early enough, can't insulate themselves as well as a select few. Is there pushback then? Do the pitchforks come out and the fault is shifted to people who just were kind of reading the room and trying to save themselves?
Yeah, I mean, it's tough because, like, I always talk about this, this kicking the can down the road, which is what they've been doing with inflation. They kind of never really, like, 1929 is kind of the same thing. There was lots of inflation, and then there was a big crash, and it was painful. But we went on afterward. We healed ourselves. We allowed that creative destruction. And it's hard to explain to people that we need a little bit of short-term pain, because we're very high time preference. We just want them to print some money and make the problems go away and not worry about the other problems that it creates. So that's not an easy conversation to have with people, is that, like, look, all these businesses that are surviving on 0% credit, it turns out they should actually be failing. I'm sorry, right? And, like, those businesses can go away. And yes, some people lose their jobs, and yes, some businesses fail, but then it makes room for other things. And, it's like the springtime comes and new things get to sprout, things that are built on solid foundations. And that's the part that I'm bullish on. So the pain or the confusion or whatever, like, it's just there. What else can you do except tell people the truth?
Yeah, temporary pain in the midst of a paradigm shift to something better. I hope so. I don't know, Carman. How are you feeling about the vibes lately in terms of just kind of worldwide, the culmination of the reaction to an event that under different circumstances may have been much less detrimental in terms of, like, our reaction to it? How are you feeling right now? What do you feel the writing on the wall is saying?
I mean, it's been like a weird last year where it's like, before you'd say like, oh, I own Bitcoin because the government could just randomly print $10 trillion. And then they'd be like, well, that only happens in Argentina. You don't need to worry about that. No first world country would ever do that. And now it's like, oh no, that just happened in the last year, or like, and they're planning to do it again. And now you have like all these real world examples. They'd be like, oh, why do you need seizure resistant money? It's not like they'd just stop people from being able to work and close their bank accounts. Like, oh no, that did happen. And so like it's really like makes pitching Bitcoin so much easier, where it's like, oh, here's a news article from last week of exactly how Bitcoin would stop this thing. And it's I don't know, it's sad to see, because it's like, fuck, all these people are getting screwed over by the government, but also it's like nice to see, like, okay, these people, thank God, to Bitcoin. Like, if we didn't have Bitcoin, all these people, like, we wouldn't have a solution to any of this stuff. We'd just be like, well, that sucks. We need to, go vote or something. And it's like, now we just have, oh no, now I just, buy Bitcoin and opt out of this stupid system. So it makes me like way more bullish on Bitcoin, just because like it's giving everyone, like, if you weren't into Bitcoin already, it's showing you like these problems that we talked about that were like potential vulnerabilities are now being exploited. So we can say like, see, these vulnerabilities are being exploited. We need to patch these by getting a sound money and having a seizure resistant money, and something that's not controlled by the wealthy elite. And that makes me excited to see that a lot of people are waking up. And like before, when you would like talk to family or friends, you'd be like, you'd say like, I'm in for this reasons, and they'd be like, okay, whatever, you're crazy, that's never going to happen. And now they're like, it's happening to them, or people around them, or at least on the news. They can, like, even if they're not going to like fully get into Bitcoin, they can say like, okay, Ben's into Bitcoin because for this reason. I guess that makes sense. But so I don't know, that makes me happy.
Yeah, I think you're pretty on point too when you say that this past year and a bit has given us so many immediate examples of things to point to as to why we Bitcoin. Even in terms of good Bitcoin practices, we've seen, like last year with or not last year, but like a few months back with the whole Wall Street bets thing. What a perfect example of why self-custody is important. And when that's impossible, look what can happen. People can basically tell you that you're not allowed to move and use your assets as you see fit. And
I got banned from Cash App like 2 weeks ago.
Did you?
Yeah. Shit. I don't know why, but I violated their terms of service. And honestly, like, I was using it exactly like you would think. I think I could have imagined some sketchy ways to use it, but yeah, I'm off the platform. I'm a financial terrorist, and it's because Square decided that. It wasn't, anyone else.
Yeah, it's again, there's so many things that we're able to point to this year. It's funny because like all the people I think that piled in just early enough to catch like the early part of this bull run, like before, later on when everybody and their grandmother is piling in, which will, be at some point this year, I imagine. I feel like that's coming. But like a lot of the noobs that are in now are kind of in, or at least a good chunk of them are in because they heard us Bitcoiners that were already out there kind of ranting to them about Bitcoin for years. And they see it start to go up again past old all-time highs. And then they start to maybe get curious and dabble. But soon it'll just be every idiot on the street just not knowing what they're buying. And those will be that's when the shitcoinery will get to like even worse than it is now, I think. But hey, it is what it is. Eventually it all kind of gets flushed out and it becomes apparent what's going on. I think everybody needs their full cycle to wrap their heads around it. So I don't know. But guys, we're going to keep rolling here. We've got, at times we've had like 300 people in the room. So smash that like button, give this a share. Let's get more people in the room. This is Why Are We Bullish? And we've gotten through 3 now. Myself, we got Carman, we got Price. We're going to go to Verret. And dude, if you want to enlighten us on what has you feeling bullish this week, that'd be great.
Yeah, I'm bullish because of stimulus checks, and there's a lot of news this week about a 4th stimulus check in the U.S., and the White House won it, and they're waiting for Congress to decide. What I think is going to happen is probably going to be like $2 trillion as usual, and they also have other plans like American Families Plan and Child Tax Credit, and that should be another $3 trillion. And if currently the national debt of the U.S. is 28 trillion, so that I think that'll put it at around 33 trillion. So that's really something that gets me bullish, and I think they don't have a choice, because if they don't give people all that money, they're gonna get their pitchforks out.
Yeah, I totally agree with it. And it's interesting because just on my what did I see the other day or today on Twitter, I don't know if you saw this, Verret, but I think her name is Anastasia. She's got a mom in Florida who posted a job posting for a dishwasher for like a small restaurant on Craigslist, and it was like $12 an hour or something like that. And the response that she got an email response from somebody saying, basically, get the fuck out of there, the fuck out of here with your offer. I get X amount of dollars from the government to sit at home and do fucking nothing. Why would I ever think of getting up off the couch to come in and slave for you for $12 an hour when it's less than I'm getting monthly? And so, like, what the incentive structure and the second order effects, like I posted that on and yes, I'm on Facebook, but it's for family, but I posted that just to kind of see, hey, like to gauge what's the normie reaction to that going to be. And everybody's like, oh yeah, that person's absolutely right. That place should pay more. It, like, as if it's just like readily available, like, yeah, oh yeah, we'll just, and like, you got to think you're competing with the government and you have to overpay enough to give the motivation for somebody to leave their home. It's not like they're getting $14 an hour from the government and you can pay 15 and suddenly somebody's going to give up 40 hours a week for you. No, like you've got to massively overpay. And so then what? Your expenses go up. You start charging more. This is happening across the board at all businesses. Everything gets more expensive. And now that government check that would have covered your expenses no longer does. And so they've set the precedent. They're going to have to up that. And the cycle continues. And just everything keeps getting more and more expensive until the monetary system is just destroyed. Like it's insane. And you're right. Stimulus checks are bullish in a way because you know that you're not, at least all of us know, we're fucking not holding the dollars. We're dumping that shit as soon as humanly possible. It's crazy.
Sun Tzu said, too frequent rewards signify that the enemy is at the end of his resources. So I think what's going on is, the government never has enough money for anything, and now they're printing. They have infinite money at the moment, I think.
Yeah,
that's what's going on.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to stop anytime soon. Price, Prentice. Sorry, I'm gonna go Prentice first. What do you think about this whole situation?
Yeah, well, Milton Friedman famously said, inflation is always and everywhere a monetary phenomenon, and always is today, and everywhere is happening all around us. There's money coming out of, our ears at this point, and there's a lot of places that people put it. But when you increase the money supply, prices in aggregate, in general, ceteris paribus, will go up because that money is going to leak into it, right? There's more money chasing fewer goods or the same amount of goods. And there is one place that people can put their money that can't be debased, that has the assurances that Bitcoin has, and those other shitcoins don't have, including stocks and real estate. All those things you can create more of. Bitcoin is the only thing you can't create more of. And that's bullish for Bitcoin. It's very simple. I don't feel like there's more to explain on that. And I don't think I agree with Verret. They're not going to stop. UBI, it's basically what it's happening right now. And even if they implemented a formal UBI of some kind, that's a hard program to take away, as he alluded to. So I don't think it's stopping, and I think Bitcoin's value proposition just gets better and better by the day.
100%. Carman, do you think that there's any easy way to wind down a program like this, especially in terms of re-election, having that in mind for anybody that would be terminating it? Carman, did you get me?
Yeah, I don't think so at all. Like Yeah, sorry, I'm lagging a little bit, but I got your question. Yeah, I don't think you can wind this stuff down at all. Like, you know, if you have like the example of the dishwasher can't, you know, they can't hire someone at $12 an hour because they get paid 14 to stay at home. Like, you know, you can't like just turn that off for people. They're gonna get mad, and especially when you like for a political system, your job isn't to do the correct thing. Your job is to get rehired to get win an election again. So they're just gonna do the wrong thing, and it's because they'll keep winning to it, and because they'll keep the people happy. So I think like this is gonna last a while, and like eventually it's just like it has to end eventually. And so if we don't do it, you know, just slowly wind it down, well, we're just gonna have a humongous crash once this thing bubbles over to the top. So it's kind of scary in that way. But I mean, thank God we have like, you know, tools like Bitcoin to alleviate ourselves from that. But yeah, like it's weird to see like like just like driving around here, like you see like tons of places, like every fast food restaurant is hiring, almost every restaurant is hiring, and like, you know, they have like ridiculous wages. Like, you know, I worked a fast food job like 6 years ago, and I think people are getting paid double that now for like the same job, and it's insane.
Yeah. Yeah, it's wild. I definitely feel it everywhere. The effects of those stimulus checks. And Canada here, it wasn't like they gave a few out, like a couple of them. It was if you were out of work, it was like 2,000 a month. Yeah, for individuals. It was crazy here. They still have assistance programs. Not only that, but I don't know if you guys have seen clips of his name is Pierre Poilievre from Canada, but he does a lot of stuff in the House of Commons, and he was kind of picking apart their budget and the deficit, the yearly the annual deficit for the government, the federal government, was announced, and then shortly after, central bank policy was announced, and so the government said, "Hey, we're going to be selling this amount of bonds to kind of cover that deficit," and then the central bank announced that, "Hey, we've got a bond buying program that we're going to be doing," and it was the exact same amount as the deficit this year. We're literally like paying the entire deficit through money printing. It's absolutely insane. So yeah, do like all the stimulus, not just the stimulus checks, fuck with things? Absolutely. Price, I'm curious to get your thoughts on this if you want to dive in and add any tidbits.
I mean, it's also fucked. Like, I think Verret, you said it was like 2 trillion roughly to give everyone what, $1,400. Like, I think if I remember correctly, it was about 1.7 trillion to run the U.S. government for a year now. Like that's what the like CARES Act or something extended us. So like every time we do this, we're essentially, you know, running the government for a year. And like, to be honest, $1,400 doesn't get you that far these days. I just think it's like this even weirder version of like a minimum wage, where already implementing like a mandatory minimum wage screws people over. So if it was $10, you know, and someone was willing to work for 9 or 8 or 7, God forbid, and you don't allow it legally, you're like taking that job away from the economy and from that person. But now, like, it's not only a minimum wage, but like it's like you're paying other people. Like, so it's not like the alternative is no job and you get to like stay at home and watch Netflix. Now you get to get paid to stay at home and watch Netflix. And so like, it just really screws everything up. And it's not just Anastasia's, you know, mom. It's like this week I'm at my mom's house on the East Coast, and like she got a letter from the community like that said like we couldn't the lawnmowers like aren't coming this week, and it was because of that reason. Like I have a buddy down in North Carolina who has a hotel and a couple franchises like Tropical Smoothie Cafe. He can't find people to work. He has all these job listings. People will apply and he'll go to hire them, and then he calls them up and they say, "Oh no, like I was actually just applying so I can, you know, tell the government that I had you know, put in an application." Like it's honestly, it's such a sign of like how screwed up regulation is. Like these regulators do what they think looks good on paper, do what they think will get them votes and get reelected, but they don't think about the second and third order effects, which are like so easy to break down if you just like spend a little bit of time thinking about it. Like if you offer someone $15 to stay on their couch, Hell yeah, that sounds pretty fucking good. Like if you're paying me $16, you couldn't. If you paid me $30, I would probably still choose that first option. Like it's just like it needs a little bit of critical thinking, and it's just like so apparent it's not there. Like it's sad. I'm bearish on the government, bullish on Bitcoin.
Yeah, it's wild. I don't think it ends anytime soon either. But I love this topic because, again, you don't get to talk about this with normie friends, right? You don't get to go and have this conversation because almost nobody has any sort of education in and around this, nor have they ever thought of it. And if they do have an education around this, they've been, pumped full of Keynesianism through college, and that's what they know, and they're so married to it that they couldn't possibly think of an alternative, and so they have the added pressure of having to unlearn what they've already learned in order to start wrapping their heads around Bitcoin. So yeah, it's wild. I'm a little sad that it may affect people that I know, but I've been doing my damnedest to try and insulate people and get them to understand and at least stack some sats in the meantime. But we shall see. We're gonna keep it rolling. I'm fucking stoked. We've got well over 300. We've had well over 300 people in here. Of course, hit that like button. Give this a share. Let's load it up. And we do have a good final reason and rant from Mr. Ben Prentice. So, dude, if you want to take us on a journey of bullishness, have at her.
Why I am bullish. Sorry.
Heyo.
The Overton window is moving on Bitcoin, and it's hard for us to see because we're inside it. I didn't get into Bitcoin early on, like 2013, and I always feel like I'm really late to it. But sometimes I have to look back and realize how much time has passed. And it's little things sometimes that we don't even notice. Like, for example, when I first got it, I know it was around 2018, you wouldn't see Bitcoin mentioned anywhere except in like a random article where its obituary had been, stated bluntly that, oh, Bitcoin is dead, right? That's pretty much the only time you ever saw it, or that it was for criminals or something. And slowly it started, like, there'd be people on TV talking about it, and Anthony Pompliano would come up, and now there's like a crypto segment on like all the popular financial news. So like that's just a normal thing now, right? I guess it's actually also normal that corporations just like hold Bitcoin on their balance sheet, even if they're bearish on all the energy FUD, they're still holding Bitcoin. That's just a normal thing, right? ETFs are probably about to like drop any minute, right? I mean, you got this like there's like a 90-day window or something on one of them where it's like it's getting closer and closer. I know we've been talking about it for years, but Canada dropped theirs, Brazil dropped theirs. They did very, very well, and I think they'll do orders of magnitude better here. Just it's a bigger market. The banks are all capitulating. It was last year that there was all this FUD about rat poison. It's the worst thing in the world, and they all have their tail between their legs now, and they're all like, well, it turns out because of customer demand and that we're not making money selling it to people that we have to actually I guess sell it now. But even though it's it's just that magical internet money. I can go on and on in this list. Price mentioned the Bitcoin Indie car. It's going to be getting in front of millions of people, and that's a really cool project. 70% of the funds are getting donated to like Bitcoin core devs and a children's hospital. The regulation right now is inducing hodling. They've increased the capital gains tax so people don't sell. This is only good for prices. Nobody's like sees high capital gains. They're like, oh, this is probably a great time to sell my Bitcoin. They just hodl longer. Like Bitcoin itself is a check and balance on this current system, and that's kind of a theme that we saw kind of weave throughout this thing, is that the more they push and the more they do crazy fiat experiments, which, by the way, fiat money is a 50-year-old experiment and done on this magnitude. The more they push it all in these crazy directions, the more Bitcoin is the solid center, and it remains there. So I think sound money and being bullish on sound money, being bullish on humanity and what sound money can do for us. It can realign the way that we save money, the way that we invest in things in sound ways. I'm so hopeful in the long term. It's just there's just a little bit of uncertainty, and that's okay. That's why we use money. Money is a hedge against uncertainty. So I'm super bullish on the Overton window changing. Even Elon with his little tirade yesterday on Twitter. There's now thousands of people around the world, financial advisors and companies doing research on Bitcoin energy, and the smartest ones are going to find the Nick Carters of the world. The smartest ones are going to find Friar Haas's presentation and the CoinShares, research and all that stuff. I think you always get the price that you deserve, and I think it was Verret that said, "Have fun staying poor" to Elon, and I think you're right, Ben, Mr. Sessions, that maybe that's not fair to say to him. But what if we said this? Have fun staying intellectually poor, Elon.
Yes.
And get on the Bitcoin train and understand and learn and do the work.
Yeah, I agree. I like your point that kind of the shifting of acceptability in terms of what's normalized it's changed so much in a calendar year, and it's you don't have that difficult conversation of they're printing a lot of money, or they potentially could. That's gone, right? That's now just a given. And now soon currently people are seeing the effects of that. Like, hey, is it more difficult to live right now? Are you groceries more expensive every month? Or, have you had to do any renovations yet? Oh my God, lumber. Like you can easily point to so many different things, and that has opened so many people's minds. And the people that were on it early, like Saylor last year, kind of coming to that epiphany as he saw that initial influx of new cash, and all the people thereafter. Think of how many people were fucking orange pilled during his little session, his couple day session that he had with a bunch of corporations. And it seems to, the idea of Bitcoin seems to reach the fringes first. It reaches the techie weirdos that are kind of like in it early. Then it reaches the extremes of people where that will be affected the most, right? The people that are in oppressive regimes, their currency is trash and being hyperinflated. They get it right away. But then shortly thereafter, we're seeing people that are literally their job is to preserve the capital that they're in charge of, and they're putting the pieces together because they have to understand what is actually happening here. And by and large, many are, or we will see in the future that many more than we currently think have already put it together. A lot of little pieces are moving right now. So I don't know, Carman, sorry, I ranted too long. Do you want to tag on to the topic? The Overton window is shifting. What do you feel?
Yeah, I think even say COVID and all this money printing and tyranny didn't happen, I think we'd still be in this situation where it's becoming a lot more legitimized. Maybe not as quickly as it is right now, but the last bull run in 2017 wasn't really talked at all in the mainstream media until the very tail end of it, when it was 10K-ish, and they got a week, and then they saw it hit 20K, and then oh, this thing's dead, it crashed. But now this one, when it was at 15K, CNBC started talking about it, and now the entire world is experiencing this bull run, even if they don't buy Bitcoin or not. It's going to be on their TV. They're going to be talking about oh, hey, it hit 50K again. They're going to see it when it hits 100K. They're going to see it when it hits 500K, and they're going to have to experience that and rationalize why they didn't buy it this whole time. And it's really, I don't know, it's great to see that people are going to face the facts that Bitcoin is going to be the dominant money in the world. And if you don't buy it, then you're going to have fun staying poor. And it seems like a lot of people are realizing that now, and that's why we're getting so many people into Bitcoin right now. Not only because they're trying to escape inflation, but also just this thing is happening, this thing is being monetized, I need to be a part of this, because this is world-changing technology. This is a revolution of the people, and it's awesome to see.
Yeah, 100%. Let's toss it over to Price. Dude, what do you think here? What do you think?
I think I have a lot of thoughts here, but I'll try and keep it short and simple so we can have a fun jam session at the end. I think like the policies are like so clearly the Overton window has shifted. Like 2 years ago, if you would have said we're gonna helicopter drop everyone like $1,400, we're gonna do it like 3 times, probably 4. We're gonna print $60 billion like a month, like in treasuries right now, let alone at the beginning of the crisis. Like think back to 2008. We got out of that crisis with what 380-ish billion, $400 billion in printing. That shit happens in like 6 months on like the downside of the like pandemic now. Like it's unreal. We are just going through orders of magnitude of like more monetary policy and like fiscal policy necessary in order to like get us out of the hole we're already digging, and it's only going to get worse. Like you're also seeing I mean, can you imagine 5 years ago if a like publicly traded company were to put Bitcoin on their balance sheet when it was still for drug dealers and terrorists? Like unreal. Now it's like you know, Michael Saylor's not the only one. Palantir, which is basically a CIA funded like public company, so like a government wing of the public sector, has said that they're like considering putting on their balance sheet. So also be careful. Don't pay them. I think they announced they're going to be accepting Bitcoin payments. Do not pay Palantir in Bitcoin, guys. That's really dumb. But like the Overton window is shifting not only in the public sector, but the private sector. I mean, it's getting ridiculous. Like, I think it all ties into what we were saying. Like, we are now no longer like shielded from the ridiculousness in the United States. And like, while that might not be great for us, like us Americans, at least it puts us in the same boat as the rest of the world. And now, like, I think Ben was alluding to, there are things you can point to, like real world examples that were hypotheticals 5 years ago when you were trying to convince people to stack sats, that now like they're coming to you and talking about. It's not you pushing like the narrative on them. They're asking you about these questions that they remember you talking about. So the Overton window has shifted. It's very bullish. Yeah,
I love it. Yeah, Verret, would you like to tag in there any mentions around this shift?
Yeah, well, I think Bitcoin is going mainstream, and the only problem now is all the shit coins. Because when I got in Bitcoin, there was like Litecoin, and when Dogecoin came out, we all knew it was a joke, and now it's like people take it seriously. So I think for the noobs, it's really, really dangerous. No, it's really different.
How do we deal with that?
I think they'll have fun staying poor. Yeah.
they likely will, but they'll temporarily believe that they are rich. The problem, I mean, they're pricing it in dollars, right?
Yeah. If they priced it in Bitcoin, like they're like, oh, Ethereum all-time high. It's like, yeah, compared to dollars. Like last time I checked, it wasn't compared to Bitcoin at least.
Yeah. No, they are. I think they're down somewhere in the realm of 30, 40, 50%, something like that, compared to all-time high previously in Bitcoin, somewhere in that realm. I mean, still like deep double digits. So yeah, I don't know. And I don't know. I'm just looking at the euphoria amongst a lot of the shitcoiners this past little bit while Bitcoin's been in this range. It's so similar to 2017. You know, you'd get those stretches, and I remember sitting through those stretches being like, oh fuck, should I be like, is something, you know, like having never been through a major bull run before, sitting there being like, was I wrong? Should I, you know, like, and then just reverting back to like people that had their head straight on their shoulders. I've got to tell you, like, and I was super happy to see him back, but Vortex back in 2017 was like this beautiful beacon of truth for me, and he definitely helped me through that bull run without being too exposed to the trash that we're seeing again right now.
I mean, just think of like the window of like what's acceptable from an investment standpoint is also changing. It's not just public policy. It's like I can't even count how many like of my friends consider themselves like day traders now. Like how many people are like aping into crypto? How many people are like doing options trading and leverage trading? Like these are things that like while there was like the shitcoin era of 2017, before that, like, you know, people weren't like, at least my friends weren't like crazy options traders with leverage in college. Like we all like played our stupid games and gambled on stock X, Y, or Z, but like it's everyone I know, and they're talking about butterfly spreads and like two-way leveraging and trying to have like market neutral, or it's ridiculous. Like, and these are people who are plumbers in their day job, and that's like the desperation they have reached to try and like beat this like this cycle or this market that we are like being thrust into. Everyone has to become a trader, and like I just think it's you're seeing the private sector, the public sector, like what people are doing in their day-to-day like trading. It's getting ridiculous. I don't know.
Did you see the video? And it was like this couple on TikTok, and they're like, they travel or whatever, and they live like out of a, they do like the van lifestyle, and then they'll like fly somewhere and like show a hotel, and in one video that they made, and it was like the most Weimar Republic thing I've ever seen. But it was like them together, and the guy's like, a lot of you have been asking how we live our lifestyle and what we do. And the wife was like wild eyes. She's like, it's just the easiest thing. And we do this thing, and I'll let my husband tell you about it. And he's like, so we use this app, and it's called Robinhood. And what I'll do, and literally he explains, he's like, so what I'll do is I'll see a stock starting to go up. So then what I'll do is I'll buy that stock, right? And then I'll watch it go up. And then when it goes up, I'll just sell it. And that was the video. Like, it was like this mind-blowing thing that you can just do that. And that was their advice. Like, oh yeah, you just see it start to go up, and then you just buy it, and then it goes up more, and then you sell it, and that's how you live your life. That's how you get ahead. And that is like, it was, I don't know how. It was very, very Weimar Republic. Did anybody here see that?
Yeah, I've seen it.
Yeah. It's like kind of like crazy to see, where it's like, you know, in the US or like Canada, like first world, we're super privileged to have access to these financial tools. Or like if you're, you know, where we're experiencing all this inflation, to get around that, you go to the financial markets and like, you know, buy stocks that are going up. But like if you're, you know, a farmer in Nigeria, you don't have access to these tools, and they get screwed. So it's like really sad to see. And it's like, this is why we need Bitcoin, where like we add this permissionless monetary system that anyone can get access to. And you know, it doesn't matter where you're born or what documents you have, you can still use the same tools as other people. And that's what I'm like super excited about.
Yeah, 100%. Well, gentlemen, we have been through everyone's reason for being bullish. So at this point, usually near the end of the episode, I like to do just a little powwow, get anybody's final thoughts, but also like if you hear something that piques your interest and you want to add, sprinkle in some thoughts on somebody else's, feel free to. But basically, we'll go down the line. And we didn't really do this at the beginning, but obviously we're all Bens, but you can let people know your Ben designation, your Ben name, and also where people can find you, what, you know, kind of what you're working on, all that kind of stuff. So I'll go with Carman first. Let people know who you are, where they can find you, what you're doing, and any final thoughts you may have.
I'm at Ben the Carman on everything. Follow me if you want to see a bunch of shit posts, and then sometimes Taproot content. But yeah, I'm just, you know, happy to be here. Bitcoiners are so great. We had like a meetup last night, and you know, that was a riot. And you can't be bearish when you're hanging out with Bitcoiners, and you know, or just listening to them on YouTube or something. So I'm excited to see what the future holds, and you know, keep stacking.
Awesome, I love it. Let's jump to Ben Price. Let people know where they can find you, and any final thoughts, all that stuff.
Yeah, my name is Ben Price. I'm a Bitcoin person on Twitter, at least, not on everything. I think some other people have those handles. at least what I'm doing right now, I'm working on a startup. So I left Visa. They have a crypto team that is really into NFTs and CBDCs. And so I had to leave there, and I'm starting on my own Bitcoin company now. So that should be coming out soon. And more recently, we launched OpenSats, which I'll shamelessly plug this one all day. It is a nonprofit to help fund contributors to Bitcoin Core and free and open source software. So if you go to opensats.org, we are kind of in a soft launch phase. But if you're a contributor to Bitcoin or open source software, come sign up. The idea will be it's a platform where we can help you raise some funds for like the good work that you're doing. So that was the most recent project we kind of went live with. The actual donation platform will be live soon. Yeah, I mean, a couple other things. I'm bearish on a few things, so I think like people need to do better. There was a recent report, 69% of people in the US are still supportive of the central bank. So like that's on us, guys. Like we need to make it we need to do a better job informing people of like what the hell's going on. In our defense, they are like very supportive of the post, like 93% support the Postal Service. So maybe this was just a BS survey. 63% had supported the IRS. I can't imagine why you would support someone who's just taking your income. So like, but still, we need to do a better job if the numbers are that high. And then, yeah, one last thing that I'm super bullish on, and is that my uncle, who is a total just like I'm in Turkey Farm, Virginia out here. Like this is not Bitcoin country. And he talked to me the other day about the Bill Mayer, I don't know how to say his name, the jackass. So he was telling me he like reached out to me personally and said, you know, he recognized that guy was full of shit. So although like he doesn't know anything about Bitcoin, at least it's apparent. I think some people are like waking up to the idea that like Bitcoin potentially is credible, even though all the people on the news and a lot of these like kind of like narratives and FUD stories are coming out. So I think there is still hope. So, you know, stay bullish, everyone out there.
I love it. Let's move down to Verret. Dude, any final thoughts? And also, please do let people know where they can find you.
Okay, yeah, I'm Ben Verret. You can find me on the Fediverse. I'm Verreter at qefarms.cc, and you can also find me on Twitter, but I don't tweet anymore. It's Verreter. It's like here. I'm a Bitcoin contributor. By that I mean I contribute code to various Bitcoin projects. I really don't know what to say.
That's all good. You gave us some pretty bullish topics today. The stimmies was a good angle. So yeah, I appreciate you being on. Let's round it out. Let's pass it to Mr. Prentice. Final thoughts and where people can find you.
Yes. Final thoughts are that, you know, this whole Elon, this whole energy thing going, it's good to know what you're talking about. It's good to know the talking points. It's good to know the energy, you know, all of that stuff. But I think if you do come up with this conversation, the best thing to focus on is that Bitcoin is worth it, right? Bitcoin uses this energy intentionally, and, you know, the future is bright with Bitcoin. And like defend that, right? Like it's important to say that, like, yes, the Bitcoin is going to use energy, and that's a good thing, right? So reframe the discussion. I think it's super important. My name is Ben Prentice. I'm at Mr. Cool BP on pretty much everything. You can hit me on Telegram, Twitter, or whatever. I co-created WTF Happened in 1971 with my friend Heavily Armed Clown, and he also has a podcast that I'm a co-host on now, which is the BitcoinEchoChamber.com. We have a bunch of stuff, and we do live streams every Saturday. And I also produce What Bitcoin Did with Peter McCormick, so you can find me at any of those places. And I appreciate you having me on, Ben, and thank you to all the other Bens for taking your time.
Awesome. This was an excellent meeting of the High Council, or representatives of the High Council, because this is clearly far from all of the Bitcoin Bens. We are strong in numbers, but It was great to have everybody here. Great convo. Had a lot of fun. The chat has been blowing up. So thank you, all of you guys that have been commenting, especially with your Ben puns. Much appreciated. Of course, smash that like button. Give this a share. Gentlemen, I'm going to cut your audio and video right now. If you want to stick around for a minute and say a quick goodbye after the stream, feel free, but you don't have to. And we'll start pulling people out now. Everybody watching, thank you so much for being here. As always, this is always the best part of my week. Now, I kind of want to leave you guys today with a little bit of advice, because I think a lot of people got riled up this week, myself included. I found myself the other night engaged with like the most stubborn dickhead, and I knew that we were never going to see eye to eye. And I just spent way too much of my precious time bothering with this. And I don't know why I did it. So I just wanted to leave. I dropped this tweet a while back, but you know, you've been studying this shit for years. Everyone else has read 2 tweets and watched an 8-minute Bill Maher clip. You got this. You don't need to worry about convincing everybody. Try to insulate the people that are closest to you, that you truly care about. And that's really all you need. So anyways, guys, as always, please do hit like, subscribe, and share. All of those things help so much. They help get this content in front of even more people. If you want to help with the show in another way, you can always hit up the sponsors I previously mentioned down below. That was LEDN, Bitrefill, and BillFodl, or privacypros.io. Links are all in the show notes. All of the guests, their Twitter profiles are linked in the show notes. And if you really liked what you saw, especially in light of the recent Lightning Network node tutorial that I dropped at the beginning of the week. If you really like the show and you've been watching it for a while, you enjoy it, feel free to drop me a Lightning Network tip at my tippin.me page, tippin.me/@BTC sessions. With that, I am out. Have yourselves a wonderful day or evening, wherever you may be. See you guys next time for your daily session.
HODL the Bitcoin.